Sources are revealing the Young Thug release date after the announcement of his trial now being delayed. A report would read, Young Thug's RICO trial is now on recess until January 2nd, 2024, after his co-defendant Shannon Stillwell was targeted inside a jail. As sources today would just confirm that the January 2nd return date is now no longer a confirmed date.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and tell you where we are. Remember yesterday we recessed because one of our participants has had a medical issue, and I was telling you about that. Well, unfortunately, that medical condition still exists, and given the length of time that we're going to have to probably address that, it might be just more prudent to recess you and give you an early recess instead of recessing you this Friday, as the court's plan was originally. I'm going to recess you for the holidays today. Okay? So I know you look very disappointed. I can tell from all of you 17 as a group. It's not that bad. Okay, so
while this is very unfortunate for Shannon and we hope that he's okay, this Young Thug trial is about to run into a serious issue with its jury members. As Young Thug's lawyers are pushing for a mistrial after it was reported this week, a juror has been dismissed in the Young Thug YSL RICO trial and is now being replaced with an alternate after being in the hospital over the weekend.
I'm in receipt of the admission form. And as of current, she is still in the hospital. Her anticipated release date potentially is this coming Wednesday. So, much as I like to wait till Wednesday, I'm going to probably have to go ahead and excuse her due to illness. So, does anybody wish to be heard about that issue?
Your Honor, before we do that, can I just figure out who 269 is?
All right, and I'll let you take a look at I'm going to mark this as the next court exhibit in order, as well as I'm going to seal it for purposes of juror confidentiality.
With the one jury member now sitting in the hospital excused from the Young Thug RICO trial, there would be a second juror that has now been dismissed for safety concerns after it was reported by DJ Akademiks. Members of the jury were shown on live stream, and people believe this is why the judge called the attorneys to his chambers for a potential mistrial. Reports would then come out from No Jumper. Fans are already identifying jury members on Thug's trial after the courtroom camera accidentally revealed their faces. As a commenter would reply, I know that guy with the glasses on, that's Dante Wilson, he is on the jury. As Dante Wilson would then have to be excused from the Thug trial for safety concerns, which now means we already have two jury members excused from the Young Thug trial, and now with the most recent delay, lawyers are stating to expect another 2 to 3 jury members somehow getting excused from this case, as they're not going to be able to miss this much time off of work. As the mistrial potential has risen drastically in the last week, also due to the prosecution against Young Thug. As on the final day of the trial, the judge had to ask the prosecutor to stay out of his business.
Is there anything else at this point in time?
Your Honor, did juror number 39...
Yo, would you stay out of my business, Miss Love?
Oh, well.
Stay out of my business.
Judge,
Look,
I'm sorry.
I've been doing this a long time. Yes, I have, yes. And if you really must know, she's going to reschedule her appointment to the week of the King holiday. You happy? No, you're not happy. But anyways, that's the explanation you're going to get. I'm on top of it. Okay. All right. Yes, Mr. Sharp.
Then 30 minutes into opening argument, it would be also announced judge in the Young Thug trial isn't happy with the state because they never turned in all of the slides they planned on using in their opening statement, which again would leave the judge yelling at the prosecutor.
Is there anything else you're going to use in opening you haven't shown to defense counsel? He's telling us. Well, I said that. I told you to do that a week ago. Because here's what I told you was going to happen. I've got a jury that's out right now that's being interrupted. And Mr. Williams, you should have made your motion or should have told me about that an hour ago or when you found out about it. Not hijack me at the bench about that. You did what you had to do, but I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about any of this. Because this is stuff we could take care of before our jury comes in. And that makes you all, lessen your ability as advocates and lessen our ability for this jury to go ahead and get this case seamlessly. This is what I told you all was going to happen. So
As even the judge stated in the start of the clip, he already told the prosecutors to be ready and have all of their evidence ready for opening day, and they didn't do it.
Your Honor, we would ask because we would ask that all of this be reserved for the 16th because this all came up in September. You said you allowed us to.
I am really annoyed about this, Ms. Hilton. I just am. This is ridiculous. Your witness list has grown by 2/3 since then. And I don't know why. You better have a dang good explanation on the 16th, because if you don't, I'm going to exclude it. Okay. But right now I'm telling you, without anything further, it's gone.
Well, we would like to
exclude a lot more on that date because this is ridiculous. There is no plausible explanation I've gotten and that would suffice that we just kind of keep, you keep dripping and driving out evidence.
With all of this combined, as well as with the jury issues, the judge is having a very stressful time inside of this court case. It's gotten so bad he had to announce inside of the courtroom that he needs a service dog to help calm him down while having the case issues.
Right here behind me is this bell that starts jingling, all right? And if you hear a jingling sound like a bell, please don't think that I'm doing anything creepy up here, all right? I have a service dog behind me. His name is Jack. I think some of you may have seen him already. He lives the best life ever. He's pampered. He's really, and he is a Labrador Retriever. He's about almost 2.5, 3 years old at this point in time. So, but if you hear that bell, that's him moving around, all right? He doesn't bark. He rarely gets interested in what's going on, so he might come up here and look, but that's about it. All right? Don't bring him any food either, okay? All right? He is spoiled rotten. So please don't try and throw any food back here behind me or anything like that. He doesn't need anything else, okay? But if you hear that bell, hear that sound.
However, to understand Young Thug's release date, we need to dive deep into how bad the prosecutors truly are. Yes, they make the judge very angry, but how are they at their actual job? A good example of how bad they are is they can't even ask their own witness on the stand a simple question.
As it relates to a musical artist's words, is there any crime in saying words?
There are certainly potentially crimes in spoken words.
All right. Now, I'm not talking about crimes being described in words. I'm speaking of, is it a crime to speak the words?
As a generality, no. Outside of...
Your Honor, that was the answer to the question. And
so it's not responsive, is that what you're saying? Okay, I sustain this and not responsive.
Have you ever sought to arrest anyone for speaking words in a song?
No, ma'am.
However, it's the next witness they would bring to the stand which made everyone inside of the courtroom ask themselves, does the prosecution even know what they are doing? As they would bring this witness to the stand named Melissa Rozier. A report would read, in Thug's RICO trial, Melissa Rozier, a house mom at the Pony South Club outside of Atlanta, testifies about getting carjacked on her way home from work. As she would first break down how the crime started with her driving home until ultimately running into a YSL member.
Stopped at the stop sign and I felt someone hit me. I looked up and saw a car. I didn't want to block the entrance, so I pulled on to the right, which is the direction I would have taken to go home anyway. So I turned to the right, stopped, got out of my car, turned it off. I left my keys and everything in my car. The subdivision in which I was living at the time, a lot of Delta people worked there. People were coming and going all hours of the day and night. I mean, women would be pushing babies in strollers 5:30 in the morning out running. So I thought nothing of it. I got out and turned the car off, left the door open, everything in the car. I walked towards the back of the car. A young man got out of his car. I greeted him. He greeted me. I looked down at the bumper and saw no damage. And I really, at that point, was going to look up and say, honey, I'm tired, I'm going home, you go home.
As she would explain, it all started with a very small bump to the side of her vehicle. When she got out of her car to check the damage, this is when the serious crime would go down, as she would reveal a YSL member then stole her car.
And as I looked up, I saw someone in his car rising up, and he was running around me. I guess my mind knew something was about to happen, something that wasn't good, but it happened so fast. He got in my car, and because of the backpack, my mind just focused on the backpack. I opened the back left passenger's door, thinking I could reach into the front seat and get the backpack, and the backpack, because it had my daddy's CD in it and my camera. So I reached in to get that, and I guess instinct, I don't know, God said just let it go. So I stepped back and actually shut the door myself. And he drove off. At that point, I think the other car had already gone.
As this is where the story gets very odd. This crime occurred 10 years ago in 2013. The state would then ask her if she knew a man named Trontavious Stevens, aka Slug. He's the co-founder of YSL who took a plea deal in December of 2022. She would state in front of the court she does not remember his name at all, making her testimony feel very weird. With her providing no evidence at all, the state would then call the officer that was in charge of investigating the crime back in 2013, as he would also provide no evidence at all and then even be caught lying on the stand inside of a courtroom, which is highly illegal. As in trial, he would claim that Young Thug and YSL members were teasing him 10 years ago by throwing up hand signs because he couldn't solve the crime.
I observed them come out of the building with their attention already focused on the vehicle that I was driving, myself and my partner.
Okay.
And then they immediately began throwing signs and yelling at us.
Had you done anything to that group of gentlemen before they came out, focusing on you and your partner, throwing signs and yelling at you?
No, ma'am.
As this is when Young Thug's lawyers would go to work, cross-examining him and asking why did he not have the flashing hand signs at him in his original report 10 years ago.
When you testified a little while ago for the state and they asked you a couple questions about this, you said they were flashing signs, right?
Correct.
Right. Now, you didn't say that in your report, though, did you?
No.
And I mean, you wrote a 2-page report, and it was very detailed about everything that happened and everyone who was involved, down to names and dates of births, right?
Right.
You even put a serial number in there, right?
Yes.
And you're trained as a police officer that anything that is of significance, like if you think, for example, something is related, you put that in the report, right?
Right.
But that report, the same one that she had you read, right, because you can remember some stuff, in that third paragraph where it talks about what you saw those people doing, you ain't say nothing about, I saw signs, right?
Correct.
As social media accounts online would begin posting, the defense in the Young Thug trial is going off on the state witness for lying, saying that he saw hand signs being thrown at him. As when he was caught in his lie, allegedly Young Thug began laughing inside of the courtroom. But it's actually this one moment where fans believe that Young Thug now has his entire case beat. It was during the final day in court where Young Thug was caught whispering "I love you" to Mariah the scientist, as she supports him throughout his trial. As this is Young Thug's way of showing appreciation to his girlfriend for what she just said on a podcast 2 weeks ago, where she would speak on Young Thug's release date as well as their marriage plans.
Do you think that marriage is the next step for you, Young Thug?
I mean, when he gets out of jail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think either of us want a jail wedding. Yeah, but I feel like he definitely wants to be married, and I feel like I do too.
Do you ever imagine life outside once he's out?
For sure. We talk about it all day. All day long. I mean, I feel like being imaginative can help every human being on earth not lose your mind.
Mm-hmm.
It is like a little slight state of delusion.